Hi guys, Top Pops here, and today we are here for our second episode of Pop Talk. We have a really special guest today. We have Sully on, who is a friend and also fellow collector, and we're going to be talking about a bunch of different stuff that is just going on, or different figures, as well as stuff that he enjoys and I enjoy. So I guess let's just get started.
What's up, Fanatics? How's everybody doing? Thanks for having me on, Tristan. Appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. First thing I actually want to talk about here was something that I know that you've been playing a lot recently, and it's Animal Crossing. Now, I want to know, how far are you in the game at the moment, actually, right now?
I don't know how to really gauge the metrics on that, but I've been playing every day since release day, thanks to my coworker Ashley from work, who just insisted that it was one of the best games she had ever played, the previous versions, and said she was going to get it on launch day. And I thought, what a great way to kill some time with some friends and coworkers. So I'll pick it up too, and I did, and I have played it every day for at least, I don't know, 30, 45 minutes. A few days I've spent 4 or 5 hours on it, I'll admit.
I've played, I think I've played every single day. The problem was when we first started, we found out that you can't have one Switch and have different islands. So my brother and I were playing on the same island, and then I was like, I built my house on the right side, and then he built his house on the left side. We had no clue for a little while. And then finally I walked over and I'm like, no, this is your house. And he goes, yeah, hold on. And then we had to figure it all out. And we found out that we were on the same island. So I bought a whole new, this is just for Animal Crossing here. I bought a whole new Switch game, and I think that was it. We went to a couple stores to find it too. But yeah, this game has really taken over my Switch, I guess. But it's been really fun. I think the way to gauge it too, I was trying to figure it out too, because there's a bunch of my friends and I are playing it. And I think Tom Nook and what he tells you to do, what the newest thing is kind of a good way to do it. So I think we just built, what's that called? It's like a little stage, and then new people can come in and just visit for a while. Yeah, the campsite. That's what it is.
Yeah.
They can just visit for a little while. So
I guess we're about in the same place then, because that was the most recent new addition to my island. I've been experimenting with all the little offshoot things that you can do, like visiting other islands and having people visit your island. In fact, I was streaming the other day on Mixer, and we broke it because I had 8 people visit my island, and all of a sudden it said time out and everybody was kicked off the island.
Oh, that is a problem too. If you notice that if someone say fish or caught something or whatever, and it times out, it'll actually get rid of whatever was in their inventory. Have you seen that yet?
Oh no.
So that happened to us. We were on an island. We were on a southern hemisphere island. So we were catching all these weird random fish that aren't out on ours yet. And for some reason, one of the person's internet's just crashed, and it lost everybody's inventory. That's a problem that they have. I don't know if they fixed it.
Oh no.
But that is something they should probably fix soon.
I know there've been a couple of updates so far, at least 2, I think, that I've been forced to go through. So hopefully that's something that they pick up on and correct. But that's with every game.
Of course,
plus, yeah. I've said it many times, I can't get over the pure dumb luck that Nintendo had for their launch window. They could not have anticipated in a million years what we'd all be going through as a people right now. And the fact that everyone wanted something to focus on, and it seems like Animal Crossing is right in the crosshairs of that right now. Everybody is playing.
Honestly,
it's fun, but what an issue for them.
Yeah, and they're putting out a lot of updates now too. I think there's 2 events going on right now. There's the Bunny Day, which once you've gotten all the eggs, kind of I don't want to say it sucks, but it's you get too many eggs. And then the other one was, have you gotten any of the blossom stuff, the cherry blossom tree stuff? Have you seen that?
I've gotten plenty of the blossoms themselves that I've picked up, but I think I've only gotten 1 or 2 recipes so far that use the cherry blossom. So I'm looking for more of those, which hopefully will happen soon.
I know. I've been getting a lot of the egg day, or I keep saying egg day, bunny day stuff instead of the blossom stuff. And I'm just trying to do the blossoms, but that seems to be on the back burner for, I guess, the event going on.
I think once Easter's over, if I see another egg, I might just throw it. I've fished and dug up so many eggs at this point, it's getting ridiculous.
I agree. No, but I will say this though. This is a good tip actually. If you can use the eggs to eat them kind of like they would normal food. So if you want to sell your fruit and stuff like that, you can just eat eggs for the longest time, because I have so many of them. You might as well.
Hey,
I don't know. It helps, to dig up trees or rocks or whatever.
Plus, you got to stay healthy, high protein diet and all. It makes sense.
Chocolate eggs. I know you're from Texas, and one of your favorite fast food places is Whataburger. I guess, you're even wearing the shirt. Okay, this is funny. This is perfect then. The one thing that I wanted to ask was, what's your usual order when you go to Whataburger?
Okay, this is very important information. First of all, for anyone who doesn't know, Whataburger is the name of the chain. You actually said it correctly, but us Southerners call it Whataburger.
Oh.
So to anyone that we're talking about for the first time, they think we're saying water burger. And then I get the weirdest looks from people like, why would you want a burger that's damp? Like, it doesn't make any sense. But no, it's what a burger, just like it says right there. It is a southern chain. I think they're in 8 or 9 states now, going everywhere from like Arkansas or New Mexico, or I'm sorry, Arizona or New Mexico, all the way over to Florida, but all very southern hemisphere, very southern U.S. And when I go, luckily growing up in Texas, I've been going since I was a kid, but over the years, I refined my order to a bacon cheese Whataburger on a wheat bun with extra crispy fries and a Dr. Pepper to drink.
Wow. That is a very specific order, but it sounds good. That's for sure.
I probably have eaten at Whataburger in my lifetime at least 400 or 500 times. It's easily, because I've been on this planet for a few more years than you have, at least double, and that was a staple in our house, was to go to Whataburger. So,
do you have the Whataburger Pez?
I do, and it's one of the few items. I'm going to pull it up. It's on my desk.
Someone had sent me one in the mail because I was collecting Pez for a little while. Then I was posting them a lot on my Instagram. And then somebody had said, hey, do you have the Whataburger one yet? And I said, no. And then somebody sent me a couple of them in the mail. So it's really cool that I have one of those.
There we go.
But yeah,
it's hard with the lighting because I have such a bright light. There we go. That's the angle right there. Yeah, I've got the Whataburger Pez. I've got the Whataburger shirts. I've got a hat. I thought it would be a little too much to wear the hat along with the shirt today. I've got Whataburger shoes, Whataburger pillows. Plenty of spicy Whataburger ketchup in my refrigerator because you can't order that directly from their website.
Oh,
and a Whataburger Christmas sweater, which is just hideous and amazing. And I know I've got some other stuff, but that's the main ones. I even went on eBay and went back and found out that back in like 2002, they made essentially some kids meal toys. And I picked those up and posted some photos to Twitter and Instagram a couple months ago. I didn't even know they had ever made those. They have a mascot. So theoretically, should the Ad Icon series from Funko ever go long enough, maybe we'll get a Whataburger guy. I find it doubtful because it's not well known, but maybe.
But they have made some pretty obscure ones. Like, I've learned a lot about Ad Icons actually through Funko. Yeah. I'm trying to think of some obscure ones, like Quake and Quisp I never knew before Funko.
Right.
There was another one that I had seen too. I don't know if you can think of some obscure ones. Even like Jeffrey is, I mean, here's the thing. I know Jeffrey the Giraffe, but they've made like Jeffrey as Batman, Jeffrey as Iron Man. Those are kind of obscure. And I'm sure maybe Funko's made those themselves, I would say. Like, they weren't characters before, were they? Do you know?
Not that I know of. And I grew up as a Toys R Us kid. So, I mean, I don't remember ever seeing that. But I do remember, I mean, Jeffrey's been around for so long. I got to imagine that at some point there were some iterations of him doing things like that, especially back in the time when Marvel and DC may not have been as mainstream or doing as well. I bet they allowed a lot of that stuff pretty easily.
Oh, yeah, true. Because I guess, well, how long's Iron Man's been around? Do you know when the first movie came out? Was it 2008
or 9?
Yeah, right. Something around there. So that's been a long time. It's funny because he's always been Tony Stark. Anyways, I'm getting off track here. It's always been Robert Downey Jr. as Tony Stark, which I thought was pretty cool. Because, like some of them, like Spider-Man switched a couple times now. But for the MCU, it's always been Tom Holland, hasn't it?
Yes. The movies that came out before that were not technically MCU, but I've been doing a lot of reading, and since the last Spider-Man movie, it really seems like there is more of this opportunity for a multiverse, and that they may be making a Spider-Verse movie that will incorporate Andrew Garfield and, of course, I'm blanking on his name, the original Spider-Man.
Tobey Maguire?
All in this, Tobey Maguire, all in the same universe. Could you imagine seeing all three of them suited up together? Oh, that'd be so cool.
I'm just picturing it now, and it sounds amazing. I know the only reason I know Tobey Maguire actually is because my friend's birthday is on the same day, and he'll always say he has the same birthday as Spider-Man. So I thought it was funny. Actually, speaking of, this isn't a great segue, but speaking of actors that you're a fan of, this is a really bad segue, but I wanted to mention him somehow. I was looking into Nathan Fillion today because I know I had seen him in places, I just wasn't sure where. And there was a couple places that I found. He was in Monsters University. As one of the monsters. I forget what his name was, though.
Yeah, he was the voice of the lead guy for the big frat house. I can't remember his character name either from that. But, yeah, I mean, I've been a fan of his since at least going back to Firefly. But even before that, he appeared as, or it might have been slightly after, he appeared as a villain on Buffy the Vampire Slayer. And he went on to a TV show called Drive. And then, I mean, he just got bounced around. Oh, the first time I really saw him, but I wasn't into the show, was Two Guys, a Girl, in a Pizza Place. which you probably never even heard of. It ran for quite a while on network television here in the States, and then it never got the love on DVD or Blu-ray, but Ryan Reynolds was on that show as well. And I really have tried, I've looked to see if I could find the episodes. I'd like to watch it again to see what his character was like, because I only vaguely remember him. But that was a young Nathan Fillion. And of course, he went on to Castle, and he went on to The Rookie, which I love that show.
I think that's the new show that I'm thinking of. Sorry, I'm trying to picture what's the new thing he's in right now, and I think it's Rookie is the one that I see on TV sometimes.
And it's such a great show. We're in the second or third season of it. I think second, and I absolutely love his character and the development of his character. And I mean, I don't know what it is about this guy. I've had the opportunity to meet him a couple of times in person. He was a total sweetheart to me both times that we had a chance to have a real interaction. I've never seen him be rude to a fan, or I've never read a story about him being rude to a fan. And I really see him as a role model, even though we're probably almost the exact same age. I really see him as a role model for anything that I do when it comes to engaging with, I don't want to use the word fans, but people who are familiar with Funko. When they come up to me, I want to make sure they have the same experience that I have when I get to engage with Nathan Fillion. The guy is just, there's something about him. He's got that swagger. He's got that charm for sure. And I try to emulate that any chance I get.
No, for sure. And whenever I see you at a convention, you're always smiling. You're always the nicest to everybody, especially when we come into the booth and we like to say hi and everything like that. So you're always great when it comes to interviews. Speaking of conventions, actually, and going to them, what was your favorite one to go to as, maybe traveling with Funko or as a fan or just in general?
Well, the answer truly is the same across the board, and it's San Diego Comic-Con. Going back to 2012, a good buddy of mine, actually, we didn't even know each other all that well at the time, but we both knew we had very similar interests, was my buddy Steve, that I eventually founded and ran Nerd Foo with. He called me up one day. Yeah, that was back when we made phone calls before texting and all that. And I said, I thought that was an industry thing. We can go. And he said, sure enough, I've done a little research and I know what we need to do to get tickets. And I was like, well, hey, do it. And I'm down. Let's go. So we got really lucky on our first attempt. We went in to buy tickets with everybody else in the general tickets before they did the returning ticket sales.
Right.
And we got Thursday and Sunday. So we didn't do the research. We didn't know what to research for. It was our first con. I had only been to one con previously, and that was back in like 93 or 94 when I took my brother to meet Todd McFarlane. But that was with the tiny little hotel cons. Nothing like what we ran into at San Diego Comic-Con. So we flew in on that Thursday and landed at like noon, and then walked over, got our badges, and immediately, before we even crossed the threshold of the door, realized what we had walked into. And we spent the next 4 days completely overwhelmed in the most magnificent of ways. I love that experience. It was one of my favorite things in my life. I'll tell that story a million times before I die, probably. But I had I was fortunate enough over the years to go as a fan. And then Steve and I started Nerd Foo, which was our website and a podcast that we were doing for years. Then we parlayed as a fan, and as Nerd Foo, we got press. So we went to press as for 2 or 3 years. And then during that time, I ended up going to work for Funko. And so then I ended up working from the booth perspective of it. And then this past year, I got to put on the first ever Funko Funkast live in front of an audience. So first time as a panel member in front of an audience of 1,000 people. And so I've seen it from all the different angles, and I love every bit of it. Like, even working the booth my first year, no one knew who I was at Funko. I was a frontline employee. Yes, I was on the marketing team, but like the Funkast was not a big thing yet.
Right.
And just working at the booth selling the merch, I had a blast. I loved interacting with fans and getting to handle the product. I mean, just the year before, I had stood in that line for hours trying to get in, looking in the booth and seeing these people and thinking, what a life. Like, they get to do this. This is amazing, And now here I am on the other side of it. And I just love it. I mean, the main ones are all great. I love Emerald City Comic-Con, the most amazing artist alley in the country. I love New York Comic-Con. I love San Diego. And I even like all the smaller ones. I hate to use that term, but they are smaller in the number of people that attend. I love them all. So much fun.
Honestly, I was thinking about it because, like you had said, you've literally done every single thing possible. I don't know if there's anything that you haven't done at a convention besides run one, maybe.
Yeah,
even with the Funko Live, like you guys did with Emerald City Comic-Con, the virtual con, you kind of have run a smaller convention online. So I guess you have done every single, like a full 360 of that. Now, I had a question about the booth and you working at the Funko booth.
Yeah.
I wonder if a lot of people have asked this. Have you ever, or do you get the opportunity to, like pick out your own stuff at the booth, or do you have to also then, I guess it might be kind of crazy to wait in line.
Yeah, they don't make us wait in line, but the policies have changed since I've started. Originally, yes, we might get to shop before the booth opened, but
That's
as the
good.
product has become more popular and more sought after, they have limited us to waiting till the afternoon to pick out what we want to purchase. And we do have to purchase. We get a couple items for work in the booth, but the majority of it is we have to buy. And my coworkers all think I'm insane because to this day, I'm still a diehard fan. I mean, this wall behind me is not just for show. This is going back for years of things that I've been collecting from Funko and other companies. And I will break out, we call them master cases. They're the big boxes that hold 36 pieces. I'll break out 2 or 3 of those and I'll walk the wall and hand pick out every pop that I want to buy, looking at the corners and the stickers and the paint job. And they all just stand there and watch me and laugh. And I don't care if you laugh. I'm enjoying this. This is like as fun as it gets to me to be able to hand pick the stuff that I want to buy. And then I got to ship that all home, of course, but then I get to unwrap it all again when it arrives and go put it in my collection and, match it up with everything. And I love all that.
That's crazy. I was wondering, how many pops do you have in your collection now? Is it like over 2,000, something like that? Maybe more than that?
I lost count a long time ago. I'll be honest. This wall behind me it represents a small portion of what I have. I've got them throughout the house in every room. I'm not allowed to have them down in the main living area. That's just part of the deal with the wife. But other than that, they take over the rest of the house.
Well, mine started to take over the house. And I think you might notice now, I have an office now pretty much dedicated just to collectibles and pops. I have one room that's just walls of pops all the way around. Actually, you can see it behind me here. I forgot.
Yeah,
I'm technically awesome. There right now. But yeah, there is, I think if I'm not mistaken, like 1,700 figures in that room. And then we've got the other rooms as well. So I want to do more like setups where they're kind of like not like just boxes in boxes. Do you know what I mean? I want to make them nice and have like one set. I don't know what you call that. Kind of like nicer, I guess you could say, than just, boxes stacked up in there. I kind of like have like not a diorama. Do you know what I'm saying?
No, I totally get. I don't know the exact term, but I was working on that myself. Like there's a landing area here at the top of the stairs that I guess is meant to be a game room, but it's very small. I bought some pretty nice shelving at IKEA that's metal and glass, and each one was only like $65, $70. They weren't terribly expensive, and I bought 8 of those, 10 of those, and set them all up and thought, surely this is going to get everything on the shelf. I envisioned exactly what you have behind you there, similar to what I have behind me, but also taking some out of the box to make it more of there's some in, some out, some protos, some, putting Dorbs with pops for the same license or fandom. And boy, no, that did not happen, because by the time I put them on the shelf and went 3-4 deep and 3-4 across on each shelf, there was no room for any of that. So I'm going to have to keep working on that, and hopefully eventually I'll get there.
Yeah, for mine here, I think they're 3 deep. And as soon as I put them in there, I was like, there's no way I could make it look nice. Like we used to have one wall that was no shelves. And I was going to say, like, maybe let's put in some more. I believe the ones that you're talking about are DTOFs, if I'm not mistaken. Are they?
That does sound familiar. Yep.
That's the one. I see a lot of people use those ones for like, I've seen them for larger statues and stuff like that as well.
Yeah.
Where they put them in there and have the lights and stuff. But yeah, so I was wanting to do a wall like that, or even like floating shelves or something like that. And it slowly was just like, nope, we're going to have to put more of these shelves in there. So it's now like a full like wallpaper, which I thought was kind of funny. But on the topic of pops in your collection, do you have a favorite one or your most expensive or something like that?
Yeah, in prepping for this, I really put some thought into it. My very first pop was actually a pop I purchased for my wife. She's a big Christmas fan, especially when it comes to snowmen, which doesn't relate to the first one I bought. That's just something she likes. But I was at a Target in what must have been 2011 or 2012. I can't remember when it came out. Walking around, and I found Hermie from Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, the old stop animation film.
That's a great one.
I saw it and I thought that thing looks really cool, and I bought it for it. It was like $8, $9, $10, whatever it was at the time. Put it in her stocking. Wasn't taking very good care of the box at the time. Put it in there and gave it to her, and she did not resonate with it the way I did. So it ended up in my office at the time, where I had a bunch of sports memorabilia. I used to collect baseball cards and autograph stuff, and I've always been a collector, and I was really into that. And I put it up on the shelf next to Mark McGuire and Ken Griffey Jr. and all these guys that I had been collecting. And I would sit there working at my computer, and I'd look over, and man, I like that. And so then I would start researching, and I found out there was a Sulley pop. And I Monsters Inc. was still pretty fresh. It was still pretty new. I went online and bought that for next to nothing. It was like $8 or $9. And then I was following San Diego Comicon. It was the year before I first went. And I saw that this gem, the flocked SDCC Sulley, limited to 480 pieces. I bought this. I really fought myself over, do I want to spend that much money? And that much money at the time was $40.
That's it?
I spent $40 on what, if you look in PPG or the Funko app now, is I think $8, $9, $1,000 somewhere.
I would kill for that to be $40 now.
I'm just mad I didn't buy every one that was on eBay at the time. I'd have one to rock and one to stock at least.
Crazy.
But I'm happy I have it. I'm glad, because it not only did it lead to me really getting into Funko. I watched the value of this go up, but it led to learning so much about Funko. Like in the early days, the only place you could really learn about the stickers and the exclusivity and the history of Funko was on the Funko forums. And I was not a forum guy. I signed up, but I didn't participate, and I missed out. I wished I had. And then I went to my first Fun Days in 2014, and that sold it. Once I went to that, I was like, this is my people. This is where I want to be. So I started really picking up on things. And I can't remember how I ended up with this, considering maybe 2013 was my first Fun Days, because I think I got this in the box. So yeah, we went to 2012 SDCC. The next year we went to Fun Days, and I picked up this, which is currently my most valuable piece. According to PPG and the Funko app, I think it's somewhere in the neighborhood of $1,800, $1,900. It is a limited to, I think it's 48. Yeah, you can barely make it out on the sticker. I'll try to get it to focus there.
I can see it there. It's a little blurry, but I got it. Yeah, that's a crazy piece.
Oh, and I absolutely, at the time, I thought, well, that's cool. I didn't know much about Freddy Funko, but I like the fact that they took their mascot and made him into this cool figure. But that first year at SDCC at Fun Days, or the first year at Fun Days that we went, oh my God, I was so overwhelmed. I didn't know what protos were. I didn't know that they had these Freddy things. We went into that party and they had it all laid out. Somewhere I have all the photos. They had every exclusive they were going to give away for the night out on tables. They had every proto they were going to give out for the night on tables. And one of those protos was Sully, the original Sully proto. And I thought, well, if we get a chance, I'm grabbing that. I got picked, but by that time it was long gone. So someone has it. I have yet to track that down and get it. But that's my most valuable one. I think behind that, I've got like Headless Ned. I've got several Freddys. I've got the 9-inch Sully. There's a few of those that are worth quite a bit these days. But my most recent pickup, being a longtime Motu fan, I logged on like everybody else. I know people will probably call BS on this, but it's not BS. It's true. I logged in and I bought my Emerald City Comic-Con exclusives during the first virtual con, just like everybody else. And the Motu ones were an absolute must for me, because when the first Motu ones dropped, that's when I was still learning about Funko, and they put them up on the site in a blitz, as we call it. And I was like, oh, yes, my childhood. Motu was everything. I had the action figures as a kid. Of course, my mom gave them all away. RIP. But as soon as that set dropped, I pre-ordered the entire set from Gemini at the time. And had to wait a couple months, and then it came in, and I was like, I will get every Motu that Funko ever makes. And I think to date, I have them all.
Wow.
Yeah,
and there's the whole new set coming out as well, too. There's like 8 more of them, I think, if I'm not mistaken. Something like that. There's the 10-inch one and a couple others.
Yeah. Revealed at Toy Fair this year. Yeah, there's a whole other line, and no matter what, those will be part of my collection. I can't wait to get that 10-inch Skeletor. That thing is beautiful. It's amazing. And the Pop Ride with He-Man and Battle Cat.
Oh, right. I forgot about that one.
Come on. I also have, it's over here in a stack somewhere. No, it's with the rest of the Motu collection. Motu takes up 2 full shelves in the other room, counting not only the Funko stuff, but a few other things I've acquired over the years.
Yeah.
I've got the Dorbs, He-Man and Battle Cat, and Skeletor and Panther. Right.
Yeah.
Which I love because they're flocked. That one's amazing. I really always thought that one would be one of the hottest Dorbs rides ever. And it was at HQ for a long time. People just weren't buying it. I was like, why is everyone passing this up? It's amazing.
Yeah. I think I used to collect a lot of the Dorbs rides as well, when they still made like a bunch of them. And I think my favorite one that I've seen so far is Fred in the Mystery Machine, because there was never a pop of that one. I would love to see a Mystery Machine pop eventually. But for as of right now, it's just the door. But I have it still. It looks amazing. I've also used it for like photos and stuff like that. When I do a set of my entire Scooby-Doo ones, I like to throw that in there as well because it does look great. But it's about the same size as well. It's a little bit smaller probably than a pop would be.
I don't have that particular one, but I have a stack of Dorbs rides over here. I think I have about 20 of them.
Wow.
Because I always liked them a lot. And this is one of my favorites because the only way you can get Einstein from Back to the Future is as part of this Dorbs ride.
Right. Yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah, I love these. I honestly wish that Dorbs had stuck or had continued to be so popular.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying it's dead. I don't know what's up with the line. Maybe it'll come back at some point with a vengeance, hopefully. But I thought those were amazing.
Yeah, they look great. Especially with I don't know what it was. Maybe it was the size of them. Because like with the older pop rides, they used to make them, and I know you know this as well, where the character could come in and out of the thing. So I felt like even though it's like classic Funko, I feel like it was a little bulky in my opinion. Do you know what I mean? But but with the new ones now, they have it so they're sitting inside of them. I, by the way, have lots of the old pop rides. I'm not saying I didn't buy them. I still bought them because that was where you got the Crystal Ship. I got the what was another one? The Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle like van. All of the amazing ones.
Ecto one.
Oh yes, a lot of those ones were pretty cool too, and that was the only way you could get Winston Zeddemore as well by having the Ecto one back then. So that was cool as well. But yeah, I like the new ones, and I feel like maybe it was because of the size of them on the Dorbs rides. They really appealed to me. I don't know why, but something about them really clicked, and I like those ones a lot. I don't know why I'm mentioning this, but I thought they looked great actually.
Well, I like the different form factors like that, the larger ones. And over the years, even though I've been out of space for like 3 years, I still buy those. I bought the Millennium Falcon when it came out this past year on Amazon. I didn't know if I'd be able to get that anywhere else, so I instantly pre-ordered that just like everybody else. And that thing is amazing. I would love to be able to hang it from the ceiling, but the base.
I know, I don't want to take the base off.
Right. I think I would if it would look right, but I don't think it would look right. So I still don't know what to do with it. I just don't have the room to display it on a table somewhere. But eventually, maybe I'll have a museum and I can put it in there.
That would look great. I did that with my Tinkerbell because I don't know if there was a long time ago. I was in my room and then my brother had bumped into my shelf and my Tinkerbell fell off the top and it broke the base off of it. It was the one that went in the Disney Treasures box.
Right.
So it had that little spiral backing, which I thought was great. But then once it broke, I was like, well, I don't know what to do. It won't stand. So I took a little fishing wire and I hung it from the ceiling. It's still hanging in my room, actually. That was one of the ones that never moved over to the office. But yeah, it looks great. I feel like if you could do that with the Millennium Falcon, but there'd be so many strings going. I'm afraid it's too heavy to hang off the ceiling. So you'd have to do something kind of different.
I don't know. That fishing string is pretty sturdy, especially if you buy the heavier gauge stuff.
True.
Maybe I'll try it one day.
Yeah, you should. The only problem is I don't want to take the base off of it because I like the way it looks so much. And they even have it on an angle in the base.
Yep.
Too. I feel like there's just so much like detail to it. I'd be afraid to like pull it off and then maybe it break or something. I don't know.
I think it's pretty well fashioned on there. But I think if you did it right, if you were very careful, you might be able to remove it and then eventually put it back on there somehow. I don't know.
Probably.
I should have got one to rock, one to stock, but talk about some space.
I know they are pretty big. Actually, speaking of that, the only time I've seen them in person was actually Toys R Us in Canada. They have been getting in a lot of weird exclusives that the US gets in, but we don't because we don't have the stores like FYE and stuff like that. Even Amazon, I guess they get them in as well because they had, like, I swear it was maybe 20 of the Millennium Falcons. I'd really thought about buying a second one so I could do it. But they were just super expensive because they also raised the price higher because Canadian and stuff like that. So it's like $100 for one. Even though it's huge, it's still a great character. I don't know if I could have bought two because of that price, but maybe, I don't know.
It's really crazy to me. I talk about this all the time with friends and stuff, but Canada is attached to the U.S. You can drive across to it. Why do they act like shipping stuff across or importing, exporting is like it's across an ocean? It is right there. Can we just all work together? I don't get it.
Yeah, before the self-isolation and everything, we used to go every Friday. And I swear it's the dumbest thing. I have a post office in the States. I have a post office in Canada. And if I wanted to ship from even from the post office in the States, I've tried this before, to the one in Canada, it's like $50 shipping. when it's literally like, I swear, it's not even, I don't even know, 30 miles away, not even.
Wow.
I know, it's so annoying. I guess it's like maybe import fees, but I could drive that over and it would be free if I drove it over. I
Yeah.
guess you have to pay something, but like, it's like, if I want to order from Amazon, I've seen too, $8, if you don't have Prime, of course, like $8, or if I wanted to ship it to Canada, it'd be like $30, $40. I don't get it.
Yeah, I've got some family in Canada, and whenever I send stuff to them for like holidays, it was always very expensive. So I got to the point
Mm-hmm.
now where I log on to Amazon.ca, buy the stuff for them, and have it shipped from them directly there in Canada. But the prices on Amazon.ca compared to the
Yes.
States
Mm-hmm.
sometimes are crazy. I was trying to buy an Nightmare Before Christmas Operation game for my niece because I thought that would be a lot of fun. She loves Nightmare Before Christmas.
That
In
sounds
the
fun.
States on Amazon, $25. On Amazon.ca, it was like an $85 game.
Yeah, no.
No.
That same thing happened with Pops actually when I used to do it. So like I would be on like Amazon.com and I'd be like, Mom, look at this one. It's $8, right? It was a couple years ago. And then she'd go, is that .com or .ca? And then I'd be like, .com. She'd say, switch it. I'd go to .ca. And then for some reason, because I guess Funko, they sell through Amazon? I don't know. Or some
Yep,
companies
we do.
do and stuff like that.
Mhm.
So it'd be like, and maybe they don't sell through Amazon.ca, and I go through there and it's like some other company and they've got it for $150 for like the same figure. It's so annoying. I wish I could do it. And then again, it is cheaper now with Amazon and shipping it through. It's still expensive because I have Prime and it won't do it through the border, so that's annoying. But I don't know. They got to work on that somehow. At least agree. Like I'm annoyed about it. That's why I'm like I talk about it all the time because it's like that. But yeah, I would totally like it for at least to be maybe just double or even a quarter of what it is more. Not so much.
Yeah, I always wondered why Target moved into Canada and then moved out. I think we figured it out. I
Yeah, I
think,
think it is the importing and
yep.
yeah. And their website wasn't the greatest either. I feel like they only got like a certain like amount of stuff that like because Target.com has like everything they have in their store. Target.ca did not have as much as they used to, I don't think. But that was where I got my first Chase Pop, actually, now that I think about it. That was the original Batman Chase. That was
Ooh,
pretty cool.
nice. That's a
Yeah,
good
that
one. I
was
don't
nice.
have that
I
one.
like that
I
one.
never. I got Superman and the Flash chases, but I never got the Batman one.
That's a nice one for sure. I know you're a big fan of movies and television, and you did talk about this on your mixer the other day. You were having a chat with everybody, asking them what their favorite movie was and stuff like that. I know your favorite movies, but one thing I wanted to ask about was Letterkenny. I know it's from a smaller town in Canada, and it's like almost like there's like different groups of people and stuff like that. But what is your favorite part about that show, or why do you love that show so much?
You know, I love that we live in an age now where anybody can create anything. I mean, your YouTube channel has just blown up over the last couple of years and will lead to so many great things for you in the future. You've put in the work, and I love that now that's offered up to everybody else. And that's exactly what happened with Letterkenny. And I liked the show. A friend of mine, Jesse, at work, who's been on some of the Funko unboxing videos and in the podcast a couple times, he had watched it the first season, and he kept telling me, you got to watch episode 1 and then you'll be hooked. And he showed it to me and I was like, okay, it's pretty funny. And then I watched a couple more episodes. I'm like, still pretty funny. Reminds me a lot of life in Texas because it's like a small rural town. And then I watched a couple interviews with Jared Kiso, the creator, who also plays Wayne on the show. And he broke down some of the terminology that they use because they have their own speech essentially. Once you learn that, it becomes even funnier. But what I found out through that was it started as a Twitter account where they were making fun of the life in their small town. And their small town is not called Letterkenny. They called it Letterkenny because they didn't want the people in the town to be offended by it. But then eventually people figured it out and wondered who was handling this Twitter account.
Right.
Well, then they were also trying to make something for themselves, and they were trying all these different YouTube shows. And one was the actual characters that became the characters on Letterkenny doing these really small segments. Some of the same jokes from those early YouTube days now appear on the TV show. But they grew that from a Twitter account to a YouTube show to a full-blown television program on Crave in Canada and now on Hulu in the United States. And then once the TV shows started getting bigger, they started doing live tours. In fact, today is Tuesday the 7th.
Yeah.
On Thursday the 9th, or no, tomorrow night, the 8th, would have been the live Letterkenny show here in Seattle, which I had front row seats to, along with meeting the entire cast, autographs, photos, the whole nine. It was the one big thing I was looking forward to all year. And while I'm upset it's not happening, I understand why, and I fully support that we're all staying at home. I don't want it to seem like that was more important than people's lives.
Of course.
But it'll come back around, and I'll get a chance to go. I think there's 7 seasons in. It is brilliantly written. Jared Keeso, the guy who plays Wayne on there, who also creates, that guy he's the next generation. He's going to be famous for the next 50 years of his life. I've heard some rumors that he's considered to play Wolverine in the MCU.
Oh,
to
really?
Replace. Yeah.
Wow.
I don't know if
didn't know
that's
that.
just some fanfic or some dream casting by someone, but I think he could do it.
That'd
He's
be
got
amazing.
the build. He's got a shorter stature. I think he could do it. But anyway, I love to rant, especially when it comes to Letterkenny. I tell everybody, just like a friend of mine told me once, because I couldn't get into Doctor Who. She's like, 3 episodes. If you watch 3 episodes, you still don't like it, then I will pay you for your time. Same thing with Letterkenny. You give it 3-4 episodes, and if you don't fall in love, I'll be really surprised. It is an amazing show.
Actually, speaking of Doctor Who, do you know where you would start? Because how many seasons are there of Doctor Who now, though? Would you start? Because there's like 13 doctors. You know what I mean?
I don't know how many total seasons, but the show is 55 years old now.
That's what I'm saying. So, like, how would you start that show?
Well, I mean, for anyone, like, especially for me, I don't think I could go back and watch the black and white ones. No offense to those actors and everything that went into making the show back then. It's not for me. Mm-hmm. You start with Christopher Eccleston, who played the 9th Doctor.
Oh, okay.
Which was going back 10 years, maybe a little more. And his season's great, but not nearly as good as when Matt Smith or David Tennant came on, and then Matt Smith, then Peter Capaldi, and now Jodie Whittaker. Is that her name?
Yes, I believe so.
I love them all. My favorites are Matt Smith and David Tennant, hands down. I even got to meet Peter Capaldi when he first became the Doctor at a Lego thing at San Diego Comicon.
Wow.
Super nice dude. Didn't care for his Doctor as much, but I still enjoyed the show. But anyway, I would start with Eccleston. He was great, and it's a great lead-in, but give it 3-4 episodes. And once you get into it, like even my wife, who is not a sci-fi person, I got her hooked on Battlestar Galactica. We both fell in love with that show. And she was a hard sell on Doctor Who. Once we got through 3 or 4 episodes, she was in it to win it, just like I was. And we both just loved the whole run with Tennant and Smith for sure.
I might have to give it a try because my brother did watch it for a while. He was on a kick for maybe a week or two where he watched the show. He does this thing. I don't know if I should be mentioning this if he's editing, but he does this thing where he'll like get super involved into something for like maybe a month, 2 weeks. I don't know what it is, but he's done like skateboarding for 2 weeks. He got like the best skateboard he could find. Yo-yos was another one. Kendamas. What are those ones called where you throw it in the air and then you catch a ball on top of the string? Is that a kendama? I think it was.
Sure.
Know, something like that. One of the ones, anyways, what I'm trying to get to is one of the ones was Doctor Who. And he made us go out and look for a sonic screwdriver for like 2 weeks. We had to find one. And we finally found one at Chapters, which is a bookstore in Canada. And he used that thing for a long time. But yeah, so he watched it for a while. I might try to get into it, like you'd said. I'll start with the 9th season if I'm going to. Or is it the 9th Doctor, not 9th season?
The 9th Doctor. Yeah, I don't know what season.
Does it go by season or do they kind of...
You know... I'm sure they do, but I've never referenced it that way, and most fans talk about it by the Doctor.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. Oh, now's the time, man. I mean, we have the time to do some binge watching, and those are the kind of shows, like, unfortunately, I was watching when it was being aired week to week.
Wow.
And so having to wait, you would forget, especially between seasons, you'd forget stuff. Being able to binge watch it now, oh my God, I'm so jealous. Like, I guarantee if you started the 9th Doctor and you got into it, we'd chat again in a month and you would probably be all the way through Matt Smith's stay on the show. Like you would just go through it so fast.
Okay. I might have to give it a try actually now that you're saying this. The problem is I don't watch shows too often. The last show I think I've seen all the way through is either Brooklyn Nine-Nine or The Office.
Both great choices.
I like them. They're on Netflix too, so we'll just put them on like later at night. We'll just play it while we're just like on the computer or whatever doing stuff. So yeah, I'll probably have to give that one a try. Do you know what that's on? Is that on any streaming services?
That's a great question. I haven't watched it in so long. I'm not sure what streaming service. At one point it was on Netflix, but stuff goes in and out of there so fast. I feel like I've seen it
on Crave. I feel like in the commercial I've seen it on Crave. I'll have to look into that one because it is different for you as well with it being Canada and US. So I'll have to look into that.
Yeah.
But yeah, Doctor Who will be a good show. I'll have to check out.
Yeah, my brother and I have been. I guess it's the first time I've talked about this openly, so you get a little teaser on this. My brother and I are working on a new podcast.
Oh wow,
which
nice.
honestly, we uploaded the trailer and it'll be appearing very soon. So I don't know when this episode will go up on your channel, but look for movie retakes.
Okay.
We're on Twitter. But he and I have been watching older films that we fell in love with as kids and through our life, kind of hashing them out and then talking about what we think a sequel should look like for the film or films. And we've gone back and we've been watching some of those older movies. But the reason I bring this up is we both agree on a movie. I have to go find it on one streaming service or digital download here in the States. And then he has an entirely different fight in Canada. Again, we're separated by miles. At an imaginary line that is a border. I don't understand it, but hey, whatever. We'll figure it out.
Yeah. So how, are you guys going to be doing those like probably like once a week? You're going to try to maybe more than that, less than that?
Originally was going to be a bi-weekly thing,
okay.
But given the amount of time that we find ourselves with now, we may be cranking out some more episodes. But honestly, I'm checking my phone by the hour now for when it appears on iTunes, because that's the official go live. I mean, it's up on. We're hosting on Buzzsprout, which is the first time I've used them. But while we're here and I'm talking about it, I'm going to look it up and see if it's landed on iTunes yet. Because
yeah, for sure.
That for me, that's when you know it's time. That's when it's real.
What would you say you've done more of? Gone to Whataburger or seen Tokyo Drift?
Well, as far as total hours go, I think Tokyo Drift probably wins, but number of visits versus viewings, Whataburger wins.
Okay. And I know you're a big fan of Fast and the Furious and the whole series in general. What's it now, 10 movies or is it 9? 10.
If you count Hobbs and Shaw, we're at 9 films.
Okay.
Because that is a spinoff, but still features some of the main characters.
Right.
Yeah, I've seen every one of them in the theater, except Tokyo Drift, ironically, because I decided then that, like, I saw the trailers and I was like, well, that's going to be garbage. I don't have any desire. Boy, was I wrong. I saw the first one in the theater, and honestly, it was at a time in my life where I was not in shape at all. My health was not good, and I watched that, and I saw Vin Diesel running around in a wife beater the whole time, and I was like, dude, I want to look like that guy. So I started going to the gym as a result.
Hey.
And I've been pretty consistent on it ever since that first one came out. But still, I don't know what it is about those movies. I don't drive fast. I don't drive furious. I don't drive. Did have a Honda Civic at one point, but like now I'm driving a Nissan Rogue. I don't live in that world or drive those kind of cars. I don't break the law, but there's something about those movies that just sucks me in every time. I love it. And it's so crazy how it went from speeding around town and selling stolen VCRs and stuff to international heists where we don't even see the races anymore. Like, it's crazy how those movies have evolved, and they should not have. There's no reason it should have made it past Tokyo Drift except for Vin Diesel. He is like the master of franchises at this point. Him and Stallone do franchises like nobody else.
Oh, yeah.
It's amazing. And I applaud him because, wow, those movies, another tangent for me. I've talked about them so much. I went and looked at the box office numbers for all the films. And the first 2 or 3 did fairly well in the States and then had horrible international box office. But after 3, once they went to 4 and 5, the international box office grew to the point where now there's movies are passing like $2 billion each, because they'll make several $100 million in the States and like 1.5 billion international. It's insane. Like, I could bring it up right now and look at the actual numbers. I might be off by a little bit, but I know it's in the billions now. So there's no reason why these films won't continue to just get bigger and bigger and bigger. And look at the star power they're bringing in now. There's a rumor Keanu Reeves might become part of the franchise.
That'd be crazy.
I would love that.
I heard you talking about this actually with Keanu Reeves. He's in with the whole thing of people pushing back movies there. Is it like he could be in 4 movies in the same weekend or something like that?
3 movies and a video game. He's got the new Bill and Ted.
Right.
He's got a new John Wick, a new Matrix, and he's one of the lead characters in Cyberpunk 2077.
Oh, yes. I did see that. Yeah.
And I think 2 of them were already going to come out in the same weekend. But because of the pushback on the release dates of everything, there is a potential that all 4 of those could come out in the same weekend or same month come into 2020 or beginning of 2021.
That's crazy.
Right?
I'm trying to think. And all of those would probably like be big box office movies. It's not like, one of them's like a little side project. Like, those are huge movies. People love Bill and Ted, and with a new one coming out, that would do amazing. And Cyberpunk, a lot of people have been talking about that one as well. I've seen a lot of stuff about that, especially with him being who he is and just being in a video game now. You can actually play as him is crazy. I don't know if you've seen this with him, but have you seen the photo of, I can't think, Keanu Reeves, but he was on the subway, and it's like Keanu Reeves is so famous that people wouldn't even think it's him on the subway, but it's just him sitting there on his phone on the subway. I thought that was crazy because like he's such a megastar that he can just go on the subway and people be like, that can't be him. No.
That's yeah. I don't understand. I was just listening to Mark Maron podcast. I don't know if you ever listened to that before. Stand-up comedian, very funny guy. Basically one of the kings of podcasting. He's recorded over 1,100 episodes now.
Wow.
But he's been famous for a long time, and so he has on these amazing guests. We had John Goodman on, and of course I'm going to listen because that's the voice of Sully.
Yeah.
So I listened, and I love John Goodman, and he was talking about that when he visits New York, he still takes public transportation.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure a lot of people do, whether it be taxis or Ubers or, which actually, that's a public, it's Uber's a public transportation, I guess.
I don't know if, I guess by definition, it's publicly accessible, but I think what they mean is like run by the city. So probably like buses, subways, ferries, things like that. So he was talking specifically about taking the subway, and that he still does it because he knows the routes. He lived there for a while. He understands it. And I'm just like, I can't imagine seeing John Goodman, because I would do a double take and go, that guy looks a lot like John Goodman. And until I heard him speak, I wouldn't trust it.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Huh. Now that you say that, that's kind of crazy. I wonder who's like, I mean, Keanu Reeves, I don't think I could think of anybody more famous to be able to, like, to be seen on a subway. Like, I don't know.
I mean, he's pretty much as A-list as it gets these days. I mean, other names like a Tom Hanks or a Tom Cruise, I seriously doubt you would ever see that.
Right. You never know. Hey, that's pretty crazy.
On a very micro level, I tell people when they go to SDCC or even NYCC, keep your head on a swivel at all times, because you honestly don't know when you're going to walk right by a celebrity. And in addition to meeting Nathan Fillion at several cons and getting my photo with him over the years, 2 separate times, I have been in the Gaslamp District, which is right across the street from the San Diego Convention Center, and stood within feet of him. Wow. Just by pure chance. One time I almost missed him. I was turning to go one way and he was walking behind me, and my wife was like, look behind you, like freaking out. And I turned around, I was like, oh, it's Nathan. Of course, mobbed by people.
That one reminds me of, like, if you've ever seen this episode of The Office, he travels to New York and walks through Rockefeller Center, and he says, I don't remember who he says it was at first, but he says something like Angelina Jolie or one of those names like that. And then as he says that, he's like, no, that's her. And then they turn, and then Conan O'Brien walks right behind him.
Yep. So great.
Okay, one more question before we wrap this up here. What is a Funko Pop or any figure or something coming soon that you're excited about and have to get your hands on?
This is always a challenging question because I can't remember exactly what has been blitzed and what has not. And by blitzed, I mean revealed officially through the Funko channels.
Okay.
I mean, I'm excited about the WonderCon stuff for sure.
Oh, yeah.
I'm excited about soda in general.
Same.
I know a lot of people are, especially, I'll call them fringe fans, people that are getting into it strictly because they know people who are into it or they're collecting for value, think pops are it. I mean, you look behind me, these are things I'm a fan of. I got the plush, I've got the mini Hikari and the other vinyl figures, Dorbs, pint-sized heroes, vinyl. I love all of it, the cereal. And I really like the soda. What are you looking at there?
No, I just noticed, do you have all 4 Freddy Flux?
I do.
Oh, jeez. I saw one of them down there, and then I looked and I saw 3 more. I don't know if you guys can see them in the bottom. Here, let me stop talking, and then he'll mention it so that way you guys can see them.
I get the mic out of the way there.
Yeah, there it is. Wow. It's because it goes back and forth. I don't want to say something, and then it'll come to me, and then you guys won't be able to see them. But anyways, they're in the bottom left corner there if you guys want to see them. But yeah, sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off there.
No, it's all good. Every time I get on some sort of video, people will pinpoint something different in the background. Like it's hard to do this with that's a Blockbuster Video exclusive Master Chief. Here, I'll bring it in closer.
I've seen that one before, but I didn't know. Was that like 2013 probably? Because I don't know when Blockbuster like officially kind of closed. It's weird because I thought that it was way before Funko Pops even started, but I guess 2013 is still 7 years ago, which is pretty crazy.
Yeah, I think this one for me is not. I'm a huge Halo fan, first of all, right? So it was a must-have. But the fact that it has a Blockbuster Video sticker on there, to me, will always make this one just so special, because that captures a time in pop culture that we'll never get to revisit fully.
Never.
I worked at video stores for years, for like 5 years, and I VHS tapes, DVDs, the whole thing. And Blockbuster was just this juggernaut that, I mean, if you'd have told me back when these were out, or back when Blockbuster was out, that they would one day be nothing, I would have laughed at you. I was like, there's no way. That's one of the biggest companies on the planet. But anyway, breaking off on another tangent, I love this one. And this is one of the things that people just hone in on in my collection. I have, I think, every Halo figure except for a couple from the original, like Cortana and one of the grunts. I don't have those. I still need to add them to my collection. But yeah, going back to soda, I think soda is, I can't believe I actually made that segue back. I think the soda art is amazing. I think the concept of the cans is amazing. And I love the fact, I don't have one right handy there in the other room. Actually, there's a couple over there.
Is that Big Boy and Crusader Rabbit, I think? I don't know who the second one is.
Yeah, there's the Big Boy. I love the fact that it's a real metal can.
Yes.
And I was kind of bummed when I first found out about him. I was like, ooh, am I going to have to destroy the top to find out what's inside? I liked that concept. I think what they came up with is good. This whole top pops off so that you can get the figure. So there's Big Boy. And then the cool collectible disc that's inside for anybody who hasn't seen it. But I love the art style on these. And I love the can, and I love the fact that for the first time, or the only time other than mystery minis, you clearly have the chance to pull a chase without knowing if you're going to get it or not. Even with the mystery minis, weren't necessarily considered chases, but the rarer ones.
Right.
So fans like myself, if I want to get the Chase Big Boy, I got to buy. If I get lucky, I'll get it on one, but I may have to buy multiple, and they're limited. That's what first drew me to Funko. When I saw things like the Sully with the sticker with the number on there, I had collected baseball cards long enough to know that when you get to limited run stuff, that's where it's at. That's where the value and the hunt comes into play, or the chase, if you will. And so for me, the cans are a return to some of the things that made Funko special in the beginning. For me, when I first got into it. So I think the sodas are amazing, and I can't wait to see what other lines we get into. Like, I would love to see a lot more movies. Can you imagine those Marvel?
Oh, wow.
Disney?
I also saw someone mentioning Star Wars would be really cool as well.
Of course.
There's so many different Star Wars ones they could do. I have noticed this, though. Every soda figure has feet.
Oh,
I don't know why. So far. I know. I don't want to say anything, and then you might say something. I don't know, but I'm not sure. But one that I have noticed is they've done Count Chocula and Frankenberry, but they did Count Chocula with the Booberry colors, but no Booberry yet. But Booberry doesn't have feet. I don't know why. Sorry, I'm just mentioning this because I'm kind of like speculating what could happen there. But I thought it was funny that they did the Booberry colors on Count Chocula as the Chase version, but no Booberry. I don't know.
Maybe it's a tease of something to come. I don't honestly know.
No.
Other than the first waves that have already been revealed, I don't know specifically of any licenses or particular figures that are coming. I know there's more, but I personally have always stayed out of our internal systems. A bunch of my coworkers will go. We have this system. I won't say the name of it, but anyway, they go in there and they'll search by keywords, and they'll find out stuff that's not coming, that's just in development, that may not be out for a year. I don't want to know that, because I may accidentally slip up and say something, but also I still like the reveal. I personally, as a fan, hated with a passion when people would share the line item lists from GameStop.
Yes.
Those images of a line. I can't see an image. That does nothing for me. Now you just tease me with something I'm not going to see for months. I want to see the full glam, the full image when it's ready to go. That's when it's real. So I have always waited. I don't want to know anything until it's time.
There have been times where I've been like, almost like, it's people have like I've slipped up and I've seen it on Instagram before, especially with the GameStop stuff. I've seen like Barnes & Noble does it as well. But the only reason I like the GameStop one for like a video purpose, I guess you could say, is I then know what I can go and pre-order at the store, because sometimes they do pre-orders on them, and then if I know it could be coming soon, I like to drop the $5 on it, and then if it does come out and it is real, and it's not just GameStop putting them in the system or whatever, like by accident or something, I can for sure say that I'm going to be doing a video on it. That's the only reason I could think of on my end. But for an average collector, they probably wouldn't want to know what's being
I
teased, I guess, or
I
not.
like what they've moved to.
Mhm.
At least I think that's. I haven't pre-ordered one myself from GameStop. I usually pre-order from online sites and just
Mhm.
wait for it to be delivered versus going to a store and putting the money down. I like what they've done now, where they're taking the stuff that Funko puts out, the blitzes, printing those and putting them on the door to like their back room so you can see visually, and then
Mhm.
you can place your pre-order. I thought that was a classier or a classy move
Mhm.
compared to doing the line item thing. Because again, without an image,
Right. Sometimes they can pull them up and then it's on their computer behind the desk, and that's annoying. But I have seen, like, at my GameStop, they even have an iPad that they bring out for you, and it's got every single photo on there, and you can swipe through it. So that's really nice. I've seen
wow,
that. I think they have it. They did it when right around Toy Fair. I think I saw it for the first time,
huh?
like London Toy Fair, and they showed it off.
I remember years ago when my buddy and I were running Nerd Foo, and I was working on that almost full time at the time. I would go to Hot Topic. I had my own route that I would run at lunchtime that was 2 or 3 Hot Topics at different malls, like two or three Targets, Walgreens. I had like 15 places I would stop at
Hmm.
least 2, 3 times a week.
Wow.
And one of the Hot Topics I went into one time, and I was talking to one of the people behind the counter, and I never asked for special anything. I didn't tell them I run a website, none of that. I was just going as a fan. And the person's like, "Hold on, let me look up something." And you could see through the glass on their counter, and they had the email that I guess had been sent out from corporate on stuff that was coming. And I
Oh,
was looking, and I was like, "Oh, that's coming and that's coming." Like, and I didn't take notes or get out my phone or anything low budget like that. But I walked out of the store and immediately called my buddy Steve. And I'm like, "I saw this and this and this," and like we were freaking out.
that's crazy. I know that happens sometimes now, but usually not that often. And I know people probably don't like it when they do it, but like I've seen now recently where people, like, as soon as somebody even sees like, oh, there could be, say, like a new Simpsons pop coming out, people will be like, this Simpsons pop coming out, blah blah blah, and I'm like, oh, I don't want to, you know what I mean? I don't want to see that. But like
Yeah.
when you see it and you can see like a nice photo of it, I think it's amazing when they can show it, especially when it's supposed to be out as well.
Yeah, and what people don't realize is when Funko works with those licensors, all that is there's a lot of legal stuff
No,
involved,
of
right?
course,
Like
of course.
using the likeness of the characters, getting the artwork approved, all that stuff, how we market it. So when an individual or a company decides to take it upon themselves to start advertising something ahead of when we're supposed to, there can be some ramifications from that. So
Right.
another reason why I'm not a fan of talking about it or knowing about it until it's the proper time. I know people are eager. I am too.
Hmm.
But what's the difference if you find out now via a line item or if you find out in 2 or 3 months when you can go place a pre-order? You wouldn't have known it ever existed anyway
No.
until the time was right. So just chill, just wait.
For me, I feel like if I did know about it, and because I make videos all the time, I would probably slip up somehow. I
Yep.
don't know how, but I feel like in my head, I'd be like, oh, blah, 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 even like on a live stream or something like that. And I'd be like, ugh, I probably shouldn't have said that. So I like to know what's new and what I can talk about rather than, like you said, knowing about stuff, even stuff that might not even happen in the end. Do you know what I mean? And then you mention it, people get excited about it, and then it just kind of, I don't
That's
know.
possible.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, in previous years, Brian has revealed a bunch of stuff at Fun Days that he's working with
Mhm.
licensors on because in that room, nobody's doing video most of the time. We did that one live, um, but there have been times where he announces something and then the license doesn't come through, or I guess the
Mhm.
licensor changes their mind, and then for years after that, people are like, "What about that thing that was
Exactly.
promised
Yeah.
back in 2015?" And it's like, well, hey, we're all excited. Maybe it'll happen one day, but not yet.
Right, right. I think the one that I can think of at the moment was I saw something of it was some more of the Star Wars, the Clone Wars ones, maybe. And there was a photo of maybe 3 or 4 of them, and I still see people posting about it, saying, "I wonder when these are coming out." And like you said, they might come out still, but as of right now, it doesn't seem like it anyway.
See, and those are taken out of context because I think those came from the Star Wars Celebration panel last year in
Hmm.
Chicago, when Reese and a couple of the other artists joined some of the folks from Star Wars, and they were talking about pops that had never been made for various reasons.
Oh,
And I think that was the artwork of things that had been considered at one point and then scrapped,
hmm.
which I thought it was interesting that they shared that. But since the Star Wars group was on board with it too, that was fine. But without the context of that conversation, now here a bunch of people think that stuff
Well,
that was leaked.
even me, I thought that was what it was. Like when I saw that, I was like, oh, these would be great, but I guess maybe they can't do them or whatever. But I guess, yeah, out of context, like you'd mentioned, it really is like people just expect this is a figure coming out in like, say, 2 months or a month, right? But it doesn't work like that at all.
I'm pretty sure the video of that panel is on YouTube. So
Okay,
you
yeah.
actually could go look at it to get the full context. I just don't remember if that got posted or not.
Is there anything that you wanted to talk about before we get out of here? Mention anything, plug anything?
You know, I've in this time that we have due to the social distancing and the staying at home, I've been focusing on a few of my passion projects, doing some streaming. So if anybody gets a chance to join me on Mixer, I've been streaming on there the last couple nights, and I plan on doing it for a while. And then, like I mentioned before, I've got the movie retakes podcast coming that my brother and I are working on. Which, honestly, by the time this lands, it's very possible it'll already be on podcasts on iTunes. And anywhere else you listen to podcasts. So please go check that out. It's a new project, something completely different than I've ever done before. But I'm really enjoying getting to do that with my brother. He is smarter than I am, and he remembers things better than I do. So it'll be really interesting for people to get to know him and his movie knowledge. And I'm excited about doing something with him because we've long wanted a project where we both got to work on it together. And I think it's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, sounds like a lot of fun. I'll definitely have to check it out. Send me the link when it does come out because that sounds really interesting. I'm going to want to see which movies you guys are going to watch as well. Because you're going to watch the movie and then talk about it, right? It's not going to be like you're just going into this blind. So it should be interesting to like rewatch older movies, even something like Gremlins. It's just an example, but I've seen that one before, but I can only remember parts of it. Don't Feed Him After Midnight, Water, like small things, right? But like once you actually watch it again, it'll be cool to like maybe even stuff that you missed that could happen in the new one or like a sequel or something like that. That'd be cool to see what you guys come up with.
It's really interesting to watch films that I've seen many times throughout my life through a completely different lens, a more analytical lens, while still enjoying it and then doing deep dive research on it. We're pulling these really fun trivia facts and behind the scenes stuff that you sometimes will go down the rabbit hole and read about online, but to have it delivered in a podcast format by people who have been around these things their entire life, I think is really interesting. And it's given me the opportunity to flex some creative muscles. I don't get to do that very often, to sit down and try to write out my idea of what a sequel to one of these films would be like. Is something unlike I've ever done. I'm not a writer. My brother is. So I feel really challenged every week. He's got a book under his belt already and another one on the way. I feel challenged every week to try to come up with something that would be on par with what he's doing. So it's using different parts of my brain, which I'm really excited about as well. Because, there's a lot of the things that we do through Funko are creative, but in a very different way. And then a lot of it is basically just, make sure you check the boxes and do the things you've been doing.
Of course.
So it's cool to be able to transition between those different types of work from project to project.
Actually, the last question I had before we get out of here was, are you guys going to be coming up with your own sequels or different movies separately and then coming together after and okay, so this is going to be cool?
If we're calling them our pitches.
Okay.
And we're going to challenge fans after the episodes are up to tell us which pitch they would rather see. So if we're kind of competing, but it'll be a long haul to find out what fans eventually will deem as the better pitch between the two that we give. And eventually, maybe this is something you'd be interested in, we'd like to have on some guests to also throw their pitch in the mix and see, is it one of the Sully brothers or the guest pitch that we would like more?
Yeah, I'd love to do that eventually. If you guys ever wanted me on, I'd totally do it.
All right, get your thinking cap on. Maybe think of a movie you'd want to do, and maybe we'll revisit this. What movie would you pick?
Oh, geez, now that you're throwing me on the spot here, I don't know. Maybe something that only has one movie, because then they could always make a great sequel with it. One that I could think of was maybe Pulp Fiction could be a cool one. But there's more than one movie there, isn't there? Isn't there two?
Pulp Fiction's only one, unless you want to count the universe that is Quentin Tarantino. But we wouldn't go that far because God forbid we do Fast and Furious. I've seen them all. He hasn't. And who has 18 hours of viewing plus note taking plus prep plus recording plus editing? That's a lot of work.
That's especially for one episode too. So you probably want to find movies that have maybe 2 max, maybe 3 movies in it.
Which is kind of where we've landed in our first. We've recorded 4 episodes already.
Oh wow, already. Okay.
Yeah,
cool.
we wanted to start off with some good material, and we wanted to find our footing too. So it's interesting. We recorded them out of order. We recorded one, and then between that and the next one, we realized, oh, here's some things we should have done. And then that happened again. So it was actually our third episode that'll be put up first. As far as the listener knows or can tell, they won't really know.
No, of course.
But it worked out better for us, I think, to do it that way. There was a whole new learning process. I've recorded over 400 podcasts to date.
Wow.
With different, some Funkos, some nerd food, some visiting with other people, and still having to flex some new creative muscles to make this happen, which is part of the fun in starting a business.
No, of course. All right. Well, thank you so much for coming on Pop Talk. I guess you could say this is kind of like a mini podcast. It's mostly like a self-isolation podcast because we can't be together doing stuff. So I'm trying my best to, have fun with people in here. If there's also, guys, if there's any other guests you guys would like to see on besides Sully, or I also had on, if you guys want to check out episode 1, Bearded Pop Hunter was on last time. On Friday, I believe we put that up. We talked with him. But anyways, Sully, thank you so much for coming on. It was an honor to talk to you for a while here. I know we're friends, but we don't usually get to talk together for I think what's it been, like an hour and something. So it was pretty cool to have you on and chat about a bunch of different stuff that you're a fan of. So anyways, thank you so much for coming. And I hope you guys enjoyed this. If you guys want to see more podcasts or quarantine chats, I guess you could say, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and check out Sully. I'll have everything linked in the description down below. But anyways, guys, this has been a quarantine chat from Top Pops. Thanks for watching. See you guys tomorrow.
Nerds Unite.